Good morning, Greendale College faculty and staff. I want to be the first to congratulate you on earning a Mattel Grant Foundation for Higher Educational Learning grant. Congratulations, we're so excited and we're glad that you could join us today for our training session. Today we're going to learn how to better assess responsibilities based in ethics, otherwise known as B.a.r.b.i.e. Let's go, Barbie! In Barbie's world, we understand that working ethically and with integrity is essential to fostering a positive and nurturing learning environment for our students and coworkers. Just like Barbie's timeless values, we too are committed to upholding these principles throughout our educational journey. As we journey through this presentation, we'll explore key elements that contribute to an ethical classroom, campus, and university. From the teacher code of ethics that serve as our moral compass to the powerful influence of ethical sayings that remind us of our commitment, we will cover it all in this training.
Hi, Barbie!
Hi, Ken! Hi, Barbie! Hi, Barbie! Hi, Barbie! Hi, Barbie! Hi, Barbie!
Hi, Barbie!
I would be remiss if I didn't have the iconic "Hi, Barbie! Hi, Ken!" as I introduce myself as your presenter. My name is Michaela Bledsoe, and I have a master's degree in agricultural sciences, and I am a doctoral student in education, leadership, and organization at Texas Women's University, and I am the Mattel Grant representative for your presentation today. So let's go, Barbie. As you can see here, we have our very own Barbie-themed copy of the Texas Educator Code of Ethics. This is from the Texas Administrative Code Rule 247.2 Code of Ethics and Standard Practices for Texas Educators, available on the TEA website. You can also see my reference list at the end if you'd like to see the copy for yourselves. Let's take a look inside, shall we? Now, when you look at the Educator Code of Ethics, we can see that it branches off into a few specific categories. Things such as integrity, which focuses on doing the right thing. Now, when we talk about the right thing, it's important that we align it to the policy and procedures of our institution and weigh it for what's best for the students and community which we are serving. Respect, which is just showing consideration for others, our coworkers, and our students. Teamwork, working well together in harmony and unison for the collective goal of the campus. Accountability, keeping commitments with a sense of urgency. And optimism, having a positive attitude and outlook is very important in our workspace. And as fellow Barbie Jane Addams said, action indeed is the sole medium of expression for ethics. So without actions, ethics isn't as powerful. So as we keep this code of ethics in the back of our mind, we are going to take a look at a case study. This case study will show us how we can apply our ethical viewpoints in action. As we look at the case study, let's see if we can determine where the violation of the Code of Ethics and ethical principles occurs. Can we foresee any consequences of these inappropriate behaviors? Also evaluate how people either fostered a culture of respect and confidentiality or hindered it. So as we read the case study here in a second, let's keep those look-fors in the back of our mind along with our Code of Ethics. Our case study. The Teacher Code of Ethics is posted in every classroom, in every workroom, and in every office of your campus. Working ethically and with integrity is important to the staff, and as reminders of performing their duties, notes with different ethical sayings are left in everyone's mailboxes or emailed at least once a week by the administration. This known, a veteran teacher and a second-year teacher are overheard talking about a bilingual student whom neither have in class as a student. As they are looking through cumulative folders, they find the one concerning the bilingual student. They gossip about the student's home life, talk about how close they live to the student, and how each will make a move on the very attractive father. They even read aloud the student's personal information, like the court documents that state that the father has full custody and the mother has relinquished the rights to her child, but only a secretary and two passing teachers could hear the conversation. So let's take a minute to reflect on what we just read about. So meet with your table mates and pair and share and discuss the look fors that we were considering before we read the case study. I heard some really good conversations happening at the different tables. So let's take a minute to deep dive into this case study and take a look at the characters that we meet. Evaluate how they either met or fell short of the code of ethics that we tried to abide by. First, let's look at the administration. Now, the administration has a great practice of sending ethical sayings and reminders to the staff. It's important that we highlight the positive impact that these reminders have on the school's ethical culture overall. This hits a lot of the hallmarks that we look for in our teacher code of ethics. Now, this is where we actually see the ethical infraction occurring. We actually have a veteran teacher who should be knowledgeable about the ethical culture that the school has cultivated. And we also have a second year teacher who is not new to these issues either. It's important that we highlight that regardless of tenure, you have an obligation to displaying these ethical behaviors and holding yourself to these high ethical standards and responsibilities. When we look to assess this teaching team's duo's efforts in their ethical responsibilities, we see that they do not hit some of those hallmarks that we look for in our educator code of ethics. They do not show integrity as they did not do the right thing by the student. They did not show respect to their student when they gossiped about them and shared personal information. They did not hold themselves accountable for having ethical responsibilities. They did not show teamwork in onboarding with the administration's push for an ethical culture. So, overall, our teaching team duo here did not have an ethical approach. And now let's look at the passing secretary and teachers who overheard the conversation that occurred. We checked them against our educator code of ethic hallmarks as well. It's not clear how they responded to this situation, but they now need to make sure that they show integrity by reporting the situation. They need to show respect to their administrations and their coworkers by holding them accountable, which is our other hallmark. And they need to show teamwork and making sure that everyone else is on the same page and working toward that unified goal of having an ethical, safe school. Said action indeed is the sole medium of expression for ethics. And so we can measure how ethical our characters were in this case study by seeing what actions that they took and evaluating what actions they should take. Alrighty, can I have some volunteers that can share some of the ethical violations that you and your group spotted while you read this case study? It seems like everyone had general themes and agreed in consensus about what are some issues that you spotted. We see that confidentiality was a big one. We are not being respectful to our students, and we are not holding ourselves accountable when we share information that we are not obligated to share. We'll talk a little bit more in a second about some of the federal restrictions that we have about this issue, such as FERPA, which is another thing a lot of you highlighted. We also saw that personal and professional boundaries were crossed for both student and teachers, and also teachers to coworkers, because now they have created an environment that obligates their fellow coworkers to speak up and say something. We also identified that there was a clear lack of respect for the student. It's important that we realize that we do not only owe our students confidentiality from an ethical standpoint, but we also owe them confidentiality from a legal standpoint. The Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, otherwise known as FERPA, protects students' academic and personal records from being shared with people who do not have appropriate authorization. Therefore, it's important to familiarize yourself with these laws because you actually have a responsibility to protect student information. Only share information when it is necessary, and the people requesting it have proper authorization. In Barbie's dream world, confidentiality is a must. As educators, it's imperative that we build a respectful school community so students can feel safe while learning. We can do this by embracing diversity in all of our students and not having a bias or judgment against certain speakers of different languages. We should also hold ourselves to the highest ethical standpoint and be a role model for our coworkers and our students. We can also do things such as practicing active listening, resolving conflicts peacefully, encourage empathy in our coworkers and students as well. Also, promoting inclusivity can help create a more safe school environment, and we can address bullying both from our coworkers and students. You are Knuff, and you have your responsibilities of reporting any ethical concerns that you encounter. It's important that we report these concerns so that we can ensure student safety and protect our workplace environment. We also have a duty to uphold ethical standards, as we talked about earlier. We can prevent some of these issues from reoccurring, and we can foster a trust within one another to keep and hold each other accountable. In order to report the ethical issues, it's important that you follow your school's policies and procedures. For Greendale College, the steps are as follows. Number one, gather important information. Number two, identify who you report to, the appropriate authority. Number three, pick your medium. At Greendale College, we have an anonymous online submission form. You can also mail a letter or call whoever you report to. Step number four is protecting the reporter. This can either be you deciding to leave your name anonymous when you submit your complaint, or communicating with and trusting your higher ups and fellow coworkers to keep you anonymous when dealing with these ethical reports. The last step is awaiting action and following up. So just know that you have done your job in reporting this ethical concern. The people who receive these complaints take these issues very seriously, and they will be investigating the complaint. Feel free to follow up with the person that you reported to or check in on your request if you submit it online. Now let's learn about our ethical decision-making process. We'll start with step number one. This is identifying any ethical dilemmas. We actually had practice with this with the case study that we reviewed earlier. It's important that we can recognize and define any potential ethical dilemmas around us. It's also important that we can clearly articulate the values or principles that are involved, especially those relating to those hallmarks of the teacher code of ethics. Number two, gather information. For us to get a holistic picture of what actually is occurring in the situation, it's important that we get all the relevant facts pertaining to the issue and any information about the situation that can be helpful when determining what to do in this ethical situation. It's also important that we make sure that we consider different perspectives of those involved in order to make a fair and just decision. Weighing what is right by our students, what is right by our coworkers, and what is right by us is very important in this process. Number three, evaluate options. You know what's going on, we can start to brainstorm and assess the various solutions that we can take in order to correct this situation. Consider your prerogative and how it aligns ethically and any potential consequences that you can foresee depending on which solution that you choose. In the case study, we can think about what are the consequences of the teachers who decide to gossip and share that personal information. We can also consider the consequences of those passing teachers and what happens if they don't report the issue. And what happens if they do report the issue? This is all part of this evaluating options process. You decide on a solution, it's now time to integrate ethical principles. This is where we apply our teacher code of ethics and any other governing ethical guidelines that we're using in order to make sure that our decision reflect professionally and considerately towards what action we are hoping to have. Number 5, choose the best course of action. Now that you've weighed all your potential solutions and you've made sure that the ones that you've decided on reflect a specific code of ethics, now you determine which one you should use in the given situation. Make sure that your decision is suitable for the specific situation and environment in order to address the situation and not make it worse. It's important that we maintain a positive and nurturing learning environment. Number 6, implement the decision. Now that you've decided on which one to use, it's time to put it into action. It's important that we make sure that we act with determination and sensitivity in order to make sure that we are keeping an optimistic, teamwork, and accountability hallmarks in our prerogative at all times. Make sure that you consider the well being of all involved parties yourself, your students, your coworkers, and your workplace environment. Number 7, monitor and reflect. After acting upon your decision of how to deal with the situation, it's important that you observe the impact that that decision had on all parties. It allows you to correct or determine what an additional course of action may be needed. It's always important that we keep an open mind to hear feedback and to make adjustments if needed. Always make sure that the code of ethics is also considered in this process. Remember, Greendale Community College's goal is to create an ethical classroom and campus where integrity, respect, and compassion flourish. Just like Barbie's dream world, we can mold a reality where students and our coworkers thrive and grow in a safe and nurturing environment. As we conclude this training, I encourage you to provide valuable feedback through the participant survey. Your input is essential in shaping future training sessions that resonate with you and cater to your needs. Please either scan the QR code or type in the bit.ly URL link in a web browser. The survey shouldn't take long and can remain anonymous. We really appreciate any and all feedback that you provide. Thank you so much for your attention and dedication to this cause. Let's embark on this journey together and make a lasting impact, one that aligns with Barbie's timeless values and creates a better educational world for all. You go forth in your journeys in careers. Just remember, let's go Barbie. Better assess responsibilities based in ethics. Thanks, Barbie. Thanks, Ken. Thanks again for joining us for this presentation. We hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe. Please check out the references listed here if you want to learn more about the case study or any of the other issues that we discussed in today's presentation. Once again, this presentation is brought to you by Mattel. All sounds and pictures are courtesy of them. Thank you. Bye, Barbie. Bye, Ken.